looking for my pen. 1 second. Okay. Out of all the other pens and all the other places in the house, everybody always want to get my pen right here, right here. Uncle Nathaniel, shalom. Linda, shalom. Peaceful greetings, peaceful greetings. Happy Friday, everybody. Facebook, YouTube. It is February the 4th, 2022. Day 22 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. Another 4-year consecutive day count. Day 1040, 1040. Today, y'all, we reading tablet number 5. And then we're going to pick up in my big toe where we left off that day before yesterday, since we didn't get to it yesterday in chapter 19. We might finish all of it. Then again, we may only get through a page or 2, depending on what time we are at. Tiffany. Sawubona, yaya. All right, y'all. Let's get started. Kurt, shalom. Let's go ahead and do the Shema. Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 6, a call for a wholehearted commitment. Joy, shalom, shalom. Auntie Belinda Brown, shalom, shalom. Great rising, grand rising. These are the commands, decrees, and regulations that the Lord your God commanded me to teach you. You must obey them in the land you are about to enter and occupy, and you and your children and grandchildren must fear the Lord your God as long as you live. If you obey all his decrees and commands, you will enjoy a long life. Listen closely, Israel, and be careful to obey. Then all will go well with you, and you will have many children in the land flowing with milk and honey, just as the Lord, the God of your ancestors, promised you. Listen, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord alone. And you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your strength. And you must commit yourselves wholeheartedly to these commands that I am giving you today. Repeat them again and again to your children. Talk about them when you're at home and when you're on the road, when you're going to bed and when you're getting up. Tie them to your hands and wear them on your forehead as reminders. Write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. The Lord your God will soon bring you into the land that he swore to give to you when he made a vow to your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It is a land with large, prosperous cities that you did not build. The houses will be richly stocked with goods that you did not produce. You will draw water from cisterns you did not dig, and you will eat from vineyards and olive trees you did not plant. When you have eaten your fill in this land, be careful not to forget the Lord who rescued you from slavery in the land of Egypt. You must fear the Lord your God and serve him. When you take an oath, you must only use his name. You must not worship any of the gods of the neighboring nations, for the Lord your God who lives among you is a jealous God. His anger will flare up against you, and he will wipe you from the face of the earth. You must not test the Lord your God as you did when you complained at Massa. You must diligently obey the commands of the Lord your God, all the laws and decrees he has given you. Do what is right and good in the Lord's sight, so all will go well with you. Then you will enter and occupy the good land that the Lord swore to give to your ancestors. You will drive out all the enemies living in the land, just as the Lord said you would. In the future, your children will ask you, what is the meaning of these laws, decrees, and regulations that the Lord our God has commanded us to obey? Then you must tell them, we were Pharaoh's slaves in Egypt, but the Lord brought us out of Egypt with his strong hand. The Lord did miraculous signs and wonders before our eyes, dealing terrifying blows against Egypt and Pharaoh and all his people. He brought us out of Egypt so he could give us this land he had sworn to give to our ancestors. And the Lord our God commanded us to obey all these decrees and to fear him, so that he can continue to bless us and preserve our lives as he has done to this day. For we will be counted as righteous when we obey all the commands the Lord our God has given unto us. Hallelujah. Yahuwah is one, glory and praise, O great spirit, Yahuwah, creator of all spirits here in our physical realm as well as the spirit realm. May we always glorify you. Hallelujah. Thank you for the prayer every day. Yahuwah is one, and everybody over there behind that screen name. All right, y'all. Tablet number 5. Synopsis of the fifth tablet. Audrey, shalom, shalom. Okay. Synopsis of the fifth tablet. Nimma arrives on Earth with a group of female nurses. She delivers seeds to grow elixir providing plants. She brings Enlil news of their out of wedlock son Ninurta. In the Abzu, Enki establishes an abode and mining sites. In the Eden, Enlil builds space and other facilities. Niburians on Earth, which are called Anunnaki, number 600. 300 EGG operate the facilities on Lamu, which is Mars. Exiled for date raping Sud, Enlil learns of the hidden weapons. Sud becomes Enlil's spouse. Ninlil bears a son, Nanar. Ninma joins Enki in the Abzu and bears some daughters. Ninki, Enki's spouse, arrives with their son Marduk. Clans form on Earth as Enki and Enlil beget more sons. Beset by hardships, the Igigi launch a coup against Enlil. Ninurta defeats their leader Anzu in aerial battles. The Anunnaki, driven to produce gold faster, mutiny. Enlil and Ninurta denounce the mutineers, and Enki suggests to artificially fashion primitive workers. You can't see it, Yahuwah is one, but Tiffany over here on Facebook, she said, I like that, Yahuwah is one. Okay, so this shows a picture of Enlil, Ninma, Enki, and Izimud. It's a Sumerian depiction, so I'm going to show it. Just in case you don't have the book yet, I'm going to show it on Facebook first. Make sure it's clear. So if you want to screenshot it and look at it later. Okay, I think that's clear. All right, YouTube. Okay, I think that's clear. Okay. The fifth tablet. From the planet Lamu, the chariot departed. Toward Earth, the journey it continued. Around the moon, they made circuits, a way station thereon to explore. Around the Earth, they made circuits toward a splashdown, slowing. In the waters beside Eridu, did Nungal, the chariot, bring down. To a quay by Enlil constructed, they stepped off. Boats were no longer needed. Enlil and Enki, their sister, with embraces greeted. With Nungal, the pilot, they locked arms. The heroes, male and female, by the present heroes were the shouts greeted. All that the chariots had brought was quickly unloaded. Rocket ships and sky ships, and the tools by Enki design, and provisions of all kinds. Of all that on Nibiru transpired, of the death and burying of Alalu, Ninma her brothers told. Of the way station on Lamu and the commanding by Anzu, she to them related. Enki of that uttered approval, Enlil words of bewilderment uttered. That is Anu's decision, his word is unalterable. Ninma to Enlil was saying, for the maladies relief I have brought, Ninma to her brothers said. Trina, hey girl, hey, Alicia, ya, shalom. From her pouch, a bag of seeds she brought out, seeds in the soil to be sown. A host of bushes from the seeds shall sprout, a juicy fruit they will produce. The juice and elixir shall form, for drinking by the heroes it shall be good. Their ailments it will chase away, happier their mood it shall make. In a cool place, the seeds need to be sown by warmth and water need they nourishing. So Ninma did say to her brothers, the place that for this is perfect, I will show you. Enlil said to her, it's where the landing place was fashioned, where an abode of cedar wood I have made. In Enlil's skyship, the two of them, Enlil and Ninma, skyward soared to the landing place in the snow-covered mountains by the cedar forest. The brother and sister went. On the great stone platform, the skyship landed. To Enlil's abode they went. Once inside, Enlil embraced her. With fervor, he kissed Ninmah. "Oh, my sister, my beloved," Enlil to her whispered. By her loins he grabbed her. Into her womb his semen he did not pour. "Of our son Ninurta, word I bring you," Ninmah to him said softly. "A young prince he is. For adventure, he is ready. To join you on earth, he is prepared. If here you stay, let us Ninurta our son bring over," Enlil said to her. Enlil to her said, to the landing place, heroes were arriving, rocket ships by sky ships to the platform they carried. From the pouch of Nimma, the seeds were obtained, in the valley's soil they were sown, a fruit from the Biru on earth to be grown. In the sky ship, Enlil to Ninma to Eridu returned. On the way, Enlil to her the landscape showed, the Eden's extent to her. The Eden's extent to her he showed. From the skies, Enlil to her his plans explained. "An everlasting plan have I designed," to her he was saying, "that which for all time construction shall determine, I have laid out. Away from Eridu, where dry land begins, my quarters shall be. Larsa will be its name, a place for directing it shall become. On the banks of the Boranu, the river of deep waters, it will be located. A twin thereof, a city, shall in future arise. Lagash I shall name it. Between the two, on the plans, a line have I drawn. 60 leagues thereafter, a healing city shall come into being. A city of your own it shall be. Sharubak, the haven city, I shall name it. On the center line, it shall be located. To the fourth city, it shall be leading. Nibiru Key, earth's crossing place, I will name it. A bond, heaven, earth, in it I shall establish. The tablets of destinies it shall house. All missions it will control. With Eridu, 5 cities there shall be counted. To eternity they shall exist. On a crystal tablet, Enlil to Ninmah, the master plan was showing. On the tablet, she saw more markings of them of Enlil. She inquired, "Beyond the 5 cities, a chariot place I shall henceforth build, from the Nibiru to earth, directly to arrive." Enlil to her was responding. Why, by Anu's plans for Lamu, Enlil was bewildered. Ninmah then understood. "My brother, magnificent is your plan for the 5 cities." To him, Ninmah was saying, "The creation of Shurabak, a city for healing, as my abode for my own to be, is a matter of which grateful I am. Beyond that plan, do not transgress your father. Your brother too, do not offend. You are wise as well as beautiful," Enlil said to her. And the Abzu, Enki, plans was also conceiving where to build his house, wherefore heroes' dwellings to prepare, where the bowels of the earth to enter. In his sky ship, to the extent of the Abzu, he measured. Its district he did carefully survey. A distant land the Abzu was, beyond the waters, from the Eden it was away. A rich land it was, bursting with riches, perfect in fullness. Mighty rivers rushed across the region. Great waters there rapidly flowed. An abode by the flowing waters Enki for himself established. To the midst of the Abzu, to a place of pure waters Enki betook himself. In that land, the place of deepness Enki determined for the heroes into earth's bowels to descend. The earth splitter Enki there established, therewith in the earth a gash to make, by way of tunnels earth's inwards to reach, the golden veins to uncover. Nearby, that which crunches and that which crushes he in place, the gold bearing ores to crunch and crush, by sky ships to be carried, to the landing place in the cedar mountains to be bought, therefrom by rocket ships to the way station on Lamu to be transported. On Earth, more heroes were arriving. Some to the Eden were assigned. Some in the Abzu tasks were given. Larsa and Lagash by Enlil were constructed. Sharubak for Ninma he did establish. With her therein, a host of female healers were dwelling, young ones who give succor. In Nibru Ki Enlil, a bond heaven earth was assembling, a heaven earth bond, some kind of connection from the heaven to earth. That's what he was establishing there, like a port for ascension and for coming and going, to ascend from here to there. Reader, may peace, purpose, protection, and prosperity be with you all this day as well. In Nibru Ki, Enlil, a bond, heaven earth was assembling. From there, all missions took command. Between Eridu and the Abzu, Enki was journeying back and forth for supervising he went. On Lamu, construction was progressing. Heroes for the way station were also arriving. A shar, 2 shars were the preparations lasting. Then Anu gave the word. On earth, the seventh day it was, a day of resting by Enki at the beginning decreed. At every place the heroes were assembled. A message from Anu from Nibiru beamed they overheard. In the Eden they were assembled. Enlil was there in command. With him was Ninma. Her host of young ones by her side were assembled. Alagar, who of Eridu was Alagar, who of Eridu was the master. Okay, I'm reading it like too slow. Okay. Alagar, who of the Eden was the master, was there. Abgal, who the landing place commanded, also stood. In the Abzu were the heroes assembled. Under the gaze of Enki they stood. With Enki was his vizier Ismud. Nungal, the pilot, was there too. On Lamu, the heroes were assembled. With their proud commander Anzu, they stood. 600 were on earth. 300 on Lamu were gathered. In all, there were 900. The words of Anu the king they all heard. Heroes of Nibiru, you are the saviors. The fate of all is in your hands. Your success shall for eternity be recorded. By glorious names you shall be called. Those who on earth are shall as Anunnaki be known, those who from heaven to earth came. Those who on Lamu are Ijiji shall be named. Those who observe and see, they shall be. Okay, so those who came down here to have sex with the women of the earth are known as the Anunnaki. The Watchers, which we read about in the book of Enoch, in the book of Enoch, we hear about the different classes, but they name them different things. They call them the Watchers and a couple other ones that I forget. But it's the Watchers who are known as the Ijiji in here, right? Okay, I'll read that again. Your success shall for eternity be recorded. By glorious names you shall be called. Those who on earth are shall as Anunnaki be known. Those who from heaven to earth came. Those who on Lamu are, Ijiji shall be named. Those who observe and see, they shall be. All that is required is ready. Let the gold start coming. Let Nibiru be saved. So as I read through this, I'm not for sure that if the whole salvation portion that has come about, that we hear about in a different fashion today, originally started with what they're talking about here and what needed to be saved, like Nibiru, Levine, blessing, Shayla, blessing, Twabu, right? Okay, so I'm still trying to figure it out. We still got the whole Anunnaki Bible to go through with all the other different tablets. So I'm trying to decide if we're gonna go right into that after we read this, or it's a couple other ones that's in the running with other tablets. I'm trying to decipher which one. So while we're reading through this, I'm going through those as well to see how it lines up the best way. Okay, the next section. Now this is the account of Enki and Enlil and Ninma. their loves and espousals, and by their sons the rivalries. Offspring of Anu, the three leaders were, by different mothers were they born. Enki was the firstborn, a concubine of Anu was his mother. Enlil by Antu, the spouse of Anu, was born, the legal heir he thus became. Ninma by another concubine was mothered, a half sister to the two half brothers she was. The firstborn daughter of Anu she was, by her name title, Ninma, this was indicated. Greatly beautiful she was, full of wisdom, one quick to learn. Ea, as Enki then was named, by Anu to espouse Ninma was chosen. Thereby their offspring, son, the legal successor thereafter to become. Ninma of Enlil, a dashing commander, was enamored. By him she was seduced. Into her womb his semen he poured. A son from Enlil's seed she bore. Ninurta, the two. Okay, I was about to read it too slow. Okay. A son from Enlil's seed she bore. Ninurta, the two have named him. By the deed was Anu angered. As punishment, he Ninma ever to be a spouse forbade. Let me go back. By the deed, hold on. Okay. A son from Enlil's seed she bore. Ninurta, the two have named him. By the deed was Anu angered. As punishment, he Ninma ever to be a spouse forbade. Ea, his bride to be, by Anu's decree abandoned. A princess named Damka he instead espoused. A son, an heir to them was born. Marduk they named him, one in a pure place born, it meant. As for Enlil, a son not by espousal he had, a spouse by his side to be he did not have. It was on earth, not on the Biru. This child of mine is upstairs. He can come down here. Sorry, y'all. As for Enlil, a son not by espousal he had, a spouse by his side to be he did not have. It was on earth, not on Nibiru, that Enlil became a spouse. The account of that is one of rape and exile and love that brought forgiveness, and of more sons that were only half brothers. On earth it was summer. To his abode in the cedar forest, Enlil retreated. In the cedar forest was Enlil walking in the cool of the day. In a cool mountain stream, some of Ninma's young ones to the landing place assigned were bathing. So when it said, you probably caught on by now, but when it says young ones, Jeremiah, hold on, I don't want to scream y'all ear. 1 second. This coach is out here. Hey. James. Let Jeremiah know the coach is outside. Okay. Okay. That's why he was calling me. Okay. On earth it was summer. To his abode in the cedar forest, Enlil retreated. In the cedar forest was Enlil walking in the cool of the day. In a cool mountain stream, some of Ninma's young ones to the landing place assigned were bathing. So before I got up, young ones are the young women that came with Ninma. These are all the women that have been trained under her command. Yes. Daddy got back in the next week we go to the hotel. Yes, we'll be leaving in a few hours. Yeah. We actually leaving this house? Yes, we're leaving this house. I mean, we're coming back. We just going for the weekend, Sudie. She like, Mom, yes. Mom, we can stay there 5 minutes. Yeah, we'll be there more than 5 minutes. Okay, so
let's get some food too.
we're gonna get some food too, Titty. So when you hear young ones, just know it's talking about the women, right? And they were trained under her command, so they were healers. They were very well learned in herbs and all kind of healing arts and everything. Okay. In the cedar forest was Enlil walking in the cool of the day. In a cool mountain stream, some of Ninma's young ones to the landing place assigned were bathing. By the beauty and grace of one, Sud was her name, Enlil was enchanted. To his cedar wood abode, Enlil invited. I'm sorry. To his cedarwood abode, Enlil her invited. Come, partake with me in the elixir of Nibiru's fruit that grew here. So to her he said, Sud into Enlil's abode entered. The elixir in a cup to her Enlil presented. Siyemi Kimuntu Kikuyu star 87. Sud drank, Enlil drank too. To her, Enlil of intercourse was speaking. Unwilling was the last. My vagina is too little, it knows not copulation. To Enlil, she was saying. To her, Enlil of kissing was speaking. Unwilling was the last. My lips are too small, they know not kissing. To Enlil, she was saying. Enlil laughed and embraced her. He laughed and he kissed her. His semen into her womb he poured. I guess he right quickly fixed that. She said, it's too small. Oh, drink some of this elixir, sis. We're gonna get you right. Enlil, y'all about to see Enlil and his shenanigans. They this is where they start. Okay. His semen into her womb he poured. To Ninma, Sud's commander, the immoral deed was reported. Enlil, immoral one, for your deed judgment you shall face. So did Ninma to Enlil in anger say. In the presence of 50 Anunnaki, 7 who judge were assembled. 7 who judge on Enlil a punishment decree. Okay, son. Yeah, hurry up. He waiting for you. Sud who judge on earth. I'm sorry. 7 who judge on. Hold on. 7 who judge on Enlil a punishment decreed. Let Enlil from all cities be banished to a land of no return. Let him be exiled. In a sky chamber, they made Enlil leave the landing place. Abgal was its pilot. To a land of no return, Enlil was taken, never to return. In the sky chamber, the two of them journeyed to another land was their direction. There, amidst forbidding mountains, a place of desolation, Gal, the sky chamber landed. This your place of exile shall be, Abgal to Enlil was saying. Not perchance have I it chosen. To Enlil he was saying, a secret of Enki in it is hidden. In the nearby cave, Enki, 7 weapons of terror were hidden. From Alalu's celestial chariot, he had them removed. Take the weapons into your possession. With the weapons, your freedom attain. So was Abgal to his commander, saying, a secret of Enki to Enlil he did reveal. Yes. What, girl? What you forget?
Next after you're done with your bottle, next we can leave.
Not yet. I still gotta pack y'all bags, and I need to go to the store, and then we're gonna leave. Okay.
I can go with you.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Go upstairs with Dad.
And yes, we can eat first.
Okay. Not perchance have I it chosen to Enlil, he was saying. A secret of Enki in it is hidden. In the nearby cave, Enki, 7 weapons of terror was hidden. From Alalu's celestial chariot, he had he had them removed. Take the weapons into your possession. With the weapons, your freedom attain. So was Abgal to his commander, saying, a secret of Enki to Enlil he did reveal. Then from the secret place Abgal departed, Enlil alone was there left. In the Eden, Sud to Ninma, her commander, words was speaking. By Enlil's seed am I pregnant. A child of Enlil in my womb has been conceived. Ninma, Sud's words to Enki conveyed. The Lord of earth he was. On earth he was supreme. They summoned Sud before seven who judged. Will you take Enlil as your spouse? They her asked.
I'm trying to make apple slices.
Wait a minute, Tootie. Don't mess with that.
Please.
Go ask Dad to come here. Go ask Dad to come here. Cause the thing in there is sharp. And that chop up like onions and stuff. You want the apple slicer, not that. Go tell Dad I said come here. Well, you don't really want them then, girl. Okay. They summoned Sud. I'm gonna call Dad myself. You go call him and let him do it. I don't want you messing with that. They summoned Sud before seven who judged. Will you take Enlil as your spouse? They her asked. Words of consent she uttered. The words of Avgal to Enlil in his exile were conveyed. To his spouse Sud, Enlil from his exile was returned. By that did Enki and Ninma to him a pardon give. Enlil's official spouse, Sud, was declared. On her, the name title Ninlil, Lady of the Command, was bestowed. Thereafter, to Ninlil and Enlil, a son was born, Nanar, the bright one. Ninlil him named. And tongue tied, y'all. He was the first of the Anunnaki on earth to be conceived, one of Nibiru's royal seed on an alien planet to be born. It was after that Enki to Ninma was speaking, come be with me in the Abzu. In the midst of the Abzu, a place of pure waters, an abode I have established with a bright metal. Silver is its name. It is embellished with a deep blue stone, lapis lazuli, it is adorned. Come, Ninma, be with me, your adoration of Enlil abandoned. To the Abzu, to the abode of Enki, Ninma then journeyed. Enki there to her words of loving spoke, of how for each other intended. Sweet words to her he whispered. You are still my beloved. To her he said, caressing. He embraced her, he kissed her. She caused his phallus to water. Enki, his semen into the womb of Ninma, he poured. Give me a son, give me a son, he cried out. This gets rather, y'all see already. She took the semen into her womb, the semen of Enki, her impregnated. One day of Nibiru was a month of earth for her. 2 days, 3 days, 4 days of Nibiru, like months of earth they were. 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 days of months were completed. The ninth count of motherhood was completed. Ninma was in travail. So for every month, it was a day for Nibiru. So if they were on Nibiru and she was pregnant, in 9 days she would have given birth. But remember, Earth's time is sped up compared to Nibiru. So every day is a month in Earth's time. Is this when they came down and had sex with the women and had giants? Yes, all of this. What we read in Genesis is just lumped together. It just says they came down, had sex with the women, taught them things, and boom. But this is giving the details of which ones had sex with which ones, like the book of Enoch, sort of kind of give you the details of. You're gonna see it because you're gonna start getting if you're familiar with the book of Enoch, as we go on from this point, you're gonna start recognizing some of the things, you're gonna start recognizing some of the names. So that you hear, like Yaza, you're going to hear that name. And if you're familiar with the other names that came down that made the pact together, the 200, they talk about them in here too. So keep listening. You're going to start seeing where this was pulled from. And you were like, well, hold on a minute. Okay, Leisha, call me so we can talk about the time difference. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. One day of Nibiru was a month of earth for her. 2 days, 3 days, 4 days of Nibiru, like months of earth they were. 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 days of months were completed. The ninth count of motherhood was completed. Ninmah was in travail. To a child she gave birth. The newborn was a female. On the banks of the river in the Abzu, a daughter to Enki, and Ninmah was born. Enki, by a daughter, was disappointed. Kiss the young one, to him, Ninmah said. Kiss the young one. Enki to his vizier Ismut said. A son I desired. A son by my half sister I must have. Again he kissed Ninmah. By her loins he grabbed her. His semen into her womb he poured. And again she was with child. Again a daughter to Enki she bore. A son by you I must have. Enki to her cried out. Ninmah he kissed again. Thereupon Ninmah against Enki a cursing uttered. Whatever food he ate was poison in his innards. His jaw hurt, his tooth hurt, his ribs were hurting. Izimud, the Anunnaki, summoned to Ninmah for relief. They were pleading. So mind you, let's just bring it back up. Bring it back up to speed, just in case you forgot. Remember, Ninmah is the leader of all the women from Nibiru, right? They were what you call, and today they would probably call them witches, but we would call them master herbalists,
Mom.
right? Everything they understood. Yes, babe.
I can get some crackers.
Go ahead. Wait, hold on, wait. Is crackers up there? What are you trying to get them from?
Crackers for that.
They're not up there. I think the only crackers we have left, because Dad ate the rest of the saltines with his stuff. It's oyster crackers. They kind of tiny to dip. You want the oyster crackers? Give me a second, y'all. Hold on. Yeah, these are the only ones we got. Here. Put it in what?
Wait, and here.
Girl, make up your mind. She's a piece.
That is kidding.
You're just kidding. All right, little girl.
I think I have to go upstairs and you can do your bottle.
Oh, you think you need to go upstairs? Let's see if you get past Dad with that. I ain't gonna tell you you can't. If Dad lets you stay, you better sit on the foot locker. Let's see. Okay. So he wanted to have a son by his half sister, so the male child produced by her, would have the throne, and he would be another one, Nibiruan, who was born on Earth, but he fully Anunnaki or Nibiruan blood. That's why he wanted a son by his half sister. They got different mothers, but they got the same daddy, which is why Anu was pissed with Enki and his loose ways, right? So he kept going after her, and she got pissed. He didn't get. Oh, you came back down here to tell me Dad didn't get you? All right, sis, go. Go ahead. So he was pumping her up, getting her pregnant like every 9 days. Every 9 days. And she was getting tired of it. He was like, a son you must give me. He just took her and just kept pumping her up. And so she got tired of it, and she cursed him. That's what it said. She cursed him. So every time he would eat anything, it would poison his inwards. It made his mouth hurt. All these things. Okay, so let me go back. I'm going to read this again. On the banks of the river in the Abzu, a daughter to Enki and Ninmah was born. Enki, by a daughter, was disappointed. Kiss the young one, to him, Ninmah said. Kiss the young one, Enki to his vizier Ismut said. A son I desired. A son by my half-sister I must have. When the baby came out, kiss your daughter. He turned to his friend. He said, kiss her. I wanted a son. Enki, by a daughter, was disappointed. Kiss the young one, to him, Ninmah said. Kiss the young one, Enki to his vizier Ismut said. A son I desired, a son by my half-sister I must have. Again he kissed Ninmah. By her loins he grabbed her. His semen into her womb he poured. Again she was with child. Again a daughter to Enki she bore. A son by you I must have. Enki to her cried out. Ninma he kissed again. Thereupon Ninma against Enki a cursing uttered. Whatever food he ate was poison in his innards. His jaw hurt, his tooth hurt, his ribs were hurting. Ismut the Anunnaki summoned to Ninma for relief. They were pleading. To distance himself from Ninma's vulva, Enki, by raised arms, swore, I promise, I won't try and take none no more. Just please stop all the pain, right? Kim, shalom, shalom. Joy said, oh, my, clutching my pearls. Right, the first time I read, I'm like, ooh, what? Let me check. What am I reading again? Pay attention, y'all. Listen. A son by you I must have. Enki to her cried out. Ninma he kissed again. Thereupon Ninma against Enki a cursing uttered. Whatever food he ate was poison in his innards. His jaw hurt, his tooth hurt, his ribs were hurting. Izimud the Anunnaki summoned to Ninma for relief. They were pleading. To distance himself from Ninma's vulva, Enki by raised arms swore, I swear. One by one, she his ailments removed. From her curse, Enki was freed. To the Eden, Ninma returned, never to be his spouse. Anu's command was fulfilled. To earth, Enki his spouse, Damkina with their son Marduk summoned. Ninki, Lady of Earth, the title she was granted. By her and by concubines, Enki 5 more sons had. These were their names: Nergal and Gibil, Ninagal and Ningishita, and Dumuzi the youngest. To earth, Enlil and Ninma, their son Ninurta summoned. By his spouse, Ninlil, did Enlil 1 more son have. To Nanar, a full brother, Ishkur was his name. 3 sons in all did Enlil have. None by concubines were they born. 2 clans were thus on earth established. Their rivalries to war did lead. Now, this is the account of the mutiny of the Igigi, and how Anzu to death was put for stealing the tablets of destinies, punished. From the Abzu, gold from earth's veins to the landing place was carried. Thence Igigi in rocket ships to the way station on Lamu transported. From the planet Lamu in celestial chariots was the precious metal to Nibiru brought. On Nibiru was the gold to the finest dust fashioned. To protect the atmosphere it was employed. Slowly was the breach in the heavens healing. Slowly was Nibiru saved. In the Eden, 5 cities were perfected. Enki and Iridu, a sparkling abode made, upon soil skyward raised, he built it. Like a mountain, he raised it above the ground. In a good place, he built it. Damkina, his spouse, therein dwelt. To his son Marduk, Enki was there wisdom teaching. In Nibruki, Enlil, the bond heaven earth established, a sight to see it was. At its center, a heavenward tall pillar, the sky itself was reaching. On a platform that cannot be overturned, it was placed. Therewith, the words of Enlil, all settlements encompassed. On Lamu and in Nibiru, they were heard. From there, beams were raised, the heart of all the lands they could search. Its eyes could scan all the lands, its net unwanted approach impossible made. In its lofty house, a crown-like chamber was the center. To distant heavens it peered. Toward the horizon was its gaze, the heavenly zenith it perfected. In its dark, hallowed chamber, by 12 emblems was the family of the sun marked. On Mes, or M-E apostrophe S, on Mes were the secret formulas of sun and moon, Nibiru and earth, and 8 celestial gods recorded. The tablets of destinies in the chamber, their hues emitted. With them, Enlil all comings and goings oversaw. On earth, the Anunnaki toiled of work and sustenance they were complaining. By earth's quick cycles they were disturbed. Of the elixir they only small rations were given. So this elixir that they bought, that the women bought with them, it was apparently the food or whatever they ate in Nibiru, right? Whatever the drink was, it kept them, I don't know, it kept them in their godlike state, so to speak, because when they came to earth, their whole body, everything was starting to be upset after being on earth for long periods of time. So it's like the fountain of youth, or the eternal life elixir that they're drinking. And you're going to see as we go that they said no humans could drink it, otherwise it would give them eternal life, right? So, which is why even when they take some of their human offspring back to Nibiru just for a quick visit, they say, you got to go back to Earth. Otherwise, we're going to need to give you this and then you would live forever. And they just really didn't trust the humans like that for real, right? They had their own shenanigans going on within the God family. We don't need more, you know. You'll see. I'm going to quit talking and read. Okay. The tablets of destinies in the chamber their hues emitted, with them Enlil all comings and goings oversaw. On earth the Anunnaki toil, of work and sustenance they were complaining. By earth's quick cycles they were disturbed. Of the elixir they only small rations were given. In the Eden the Anunnaki toil, in the Abzu the work was more backbreaking. By teams were Anunnaki sent back to Nibiru. By teams, new ones were arriving. The Ijiji on loudest in complaining. When from Lamu to earth they descend, a rest place on earth they were demanding. With Anu did Enlil and Enki words exchange. The king they consulted. Let the leader come to earth. With Anzu have discussions. So did Anu say to them. Anzu to earth from the heavens descended. The words of complaints to Enlil and Enki he delivered. Let Anzu of the workings gain understanding. Enki to Enlil was saying, I will the Abzu to him show, you the bond, heaven, earth to him reveal. To the words of Enki, Enlil consented. Enki to Anzu, the Abzu did show, the toil in the mines to him he presented. Enlil, Anzu, Enlil, Anzu to Nibru Ki invited, to the hollow dark chamber he let him enter. In the innermost sanctuary, the tablets of destinies to Anzu, he explained. What the Anunnaki and the five cities were doing to Anzu was shown. To the Ijiji, who were at the landing place, were arriving relief, he promised. To discuss the complaints of the Ijiji, he to Nibruki then returned. A prince among the princes was Anzu, of royal seed his ancestry he counted. Evil thoughts filled his heart, with the bond, heaven, earth, he returned. To take away the tablets of destinies, he was scheming. And every time I'm not quite sure, but I'm thinking the tablets of destinies, I want to say is what we know as the breastplate that the priests wore with the 12 stones. If I'm not mistaken, it's I got to go back and read it. I was reading another portion of it and I'm leaning more towards it. Which one was I reading? I think it was The Wars of Gods and Men. Another one that has more detail of what happened as well. But don't quote me on it. But at this point, I could be wrong, but I could be right. I'm thinking the tablets of destinies is what we know as the priest's breastplate with the 12 different um, jewels that represent each tribe. I think. I think. Don't quote me yet. I'm gonna let y'all know. Enlil thoughts filled his heart when to the bond heaven earth he returned. To take away the tablets of destinies he was scheming. Of the decrees of heaven and earth to take control in his heart he was planning. The removal of the Enlil ship in his heart he conceived. To rule Ijiji and Anunnaki was his aim. Unsuspecting Enlil, at the entrance to the sanctuary, Anzu let be stationed. Unsuspecting, Enlil left the sanctuary. For a cooling swim, he went away. With evil purpose, Anzu the tablets of destinies seized. In a sky chamber, he flew away. To the mountain of the sky chambers, he swiftly went. There, in the landing place, rebellious Igigi were for him waiting. To declare Anzu king of the earth and Lamu they were preparing. In the sanctuary of Nibruki, the brilliance petered out, the humming quieted down. Silence in the place prevailed. Suspended were the sacred formulas. In Nibruki, Enlil was speechless. By the treachery, he was overwhelmed. To Enki, angry words he spoke of the ancestry of Anzu. He him questioned. In Nibruki, the leaders gathered. The Anunnaki who decree fates with Anu were consulting. Anzu must be seized. The tablets to the sanctuary must be returned. Thus did Anu decree. Who shall the rebel face? Who shall the tablets retrieve? The leaders asked each other. With the tablets of destinies in his possession, invincible is Anzu. To each other they were saying. Ninurta, by his mother encouraged, Ninurta, by his mother encouraged, from the assembled stepped forward. Enlil's warrior I shall be, Anzu I shall vanquish. Thus was Ninurta saying. To the mountainside, Ninurta set his course. To vanquish the fugitive Anzu he undertook. Anzu, from his hideout, Ninurta was mocking. The tablets are my protection. Invincible I am. Lightning darts Ninurta at Anzu directed. The arrows could not approach Anzu. Backward they turned. The battle was stilled. Ninurta's weapons Anzu did not vanquish. Enki then to Ninurta gave counsel. With your whirlwind, stir up a storm. Let the dust cover Anzu's face. Let it the wings of his sky bird ruffle. So when I started reading through this, I started thinking about some of the Marvel movies and some of the powers that the women have. I'm like, yo, I started thinking about Storm. And so when certain things they require, they look to the women. It seemed not that the men don't have powerful weapons and stuff, but it seemed like the women like kind of like are more so the ones controlling the elements, right? Anything that got to do with the four elements, the herbs or whatever, anything that the men need fashion, they go to the women. Yo, whip me up this so I can go, and they just, which makes me think about how women cook. Not that men don't cook. Hear what I'm saying? But as I'm looking at all this, I'm looking at how each sex was created and the different things that men do better than women and women do better than men, and even how through this you can see it and who goes to who for what. I'm like, this is getting good. Okay. On the mountainside, Ninurta set his course. To vanquish the fugitive Anzu he undertook. Anzu, from his hideout, Ninurta was mocking. The tablets are my protection. Invincible I am. Lightning darts Ninurta at Anzu directed. The arrows could not approach Anzu. Backward they turned. The battle was stilled. Ninurta's weapons Anzu did not vanquish. Enki then to Ninurta gave counsel. With your whirlwind, stir up a storm. Let the dust cover Anzu's face. Let it the wings of his sky bird ruffle. For his son Enlil a mighty weapon fashioned. A Tilu missile it was. To your stormer weapon attach it. When wing to wing near, at Anzu shoot it. Let me read that again. For his son Enlil a mighty weapon fashioned, a Tilu missile it was. To your stormer weapon attach it. When wing to wing near, at Anzu shoot it. Thus did Enlil his son Ninurta instruct. When wing to wing near each other, let the missile fly as a lightning. Again, Ninurta in his whirlwind sword, Anzu against him in his skybird rose to challenge. Wing to wing, Anzu in anger shouted, this battle will be your destruction. Jan Shalom. Ninurta, the advice of Enki followed. With his whirlwind, a dust storm he created. And Ninurta here is a dude, but you will see what I'm talking about when we get further on. The dust Anzu's face covered, the pinions of his sky bird were exposed. Into their midst, Ninurta, the missile let loose, a fiery brilliance Anzu's pinions engulfed. Like butterflies, his wings began to flutter. To the ground, Anzu came falling. The earth shook, the skies became darkened. The fallen Anzu, Ninurta made captive from him the tablets he retrieved. From the mountaintop, the Ijiji were watching. When to the landing place Ninurta came, they trembled and kissed his feet. Ninurta, the captive Abgal and Anunnaki set free. To Anu and Enlil, his victory he announced. To Nibru-Ki, he then returned. In its inmost chamber, the tablets were reinstalled. Once again, the brilliance therein returned. The hum of Mies in the tablets was restored. Before the seven judge, Anzu for judgment was taken. Enlil and Ninlil, his spouse, Enki and his spouse, Ninki, the one beforehand was Damkina known. And the sons of Ninar and Marduk were there. Ninma also was in the judging. Ninurta of the evil deeds spoke. There was no justification. Let death be the penalty, he said. The Ijiji by right were complaining. A rest place on earth they do need. Marduk and counter argue. Who down here? Who in there? Isaiah. Somebody keep it's one of them children. Hold on, they keep throwing something. Hey. Maybe I'm tripping. Ain't nobody in there, but somebody keep throwing something. I ain't gonna trip out while we reading. I know y'all heard that. Let me keep reading. Let me find my spot. Okay. The Ijiji by right were complaining. A rest place on earth they do need. Marduk in counter argued. By his evil deed, all the Anunnaki and Ijiji and Zu did in danger, Enlil said. Enki and Ninma with Enlil agreed. The evil must be extinguished, they said. By death, the execute to death by execution, the seven judged Anzu. With a killing ray, Anzu's life breath was extinguished. Let his body to the vultures be left, Ninurta said. Let him on Lamu be buried, in the cave next to Alalu be laid to rest, Enki was saying. From the same ancestral seed the two of them were. Let Marduk the body to Lamu carry. Let Marduk there as commander stay. So Enki to the judges suggesting, let it so be, Enlil said. Now this is the account of how Bad Tibira, the metal city, was established, and how in the 40th Shar, the Anunnaki and the Abzu mutinied. In the 25th Shar was Anzu judged and executed. The unrest of the Ijiji, it subdued, but it I'm sorry. The unrest of the Ijiji, it subdued, but left it simmering. To Lamu, Marduk was sent, the spirits of the Ijiji to raise, to their well-being pay attention. On earth, changes were by Enlil and Enki discussed to avoid unrest on earth. They were considering the stays on earth are too prolonged to each other, they were saying. Ninma for counsel they asked. By her changing visage, they were alarmed. Gold to Nibiru must more quickly flow. Salvation must faster be provided, they all agreed. Ninurta in the innards of planets learned was, to his elders, words of wisdom he was saying, let a metal city be established, therein the gold ores to be smelted and refined. Therefrom, less weighty cargoes from earth shall be lofted. Each rocket ship more gold could carry. Room for Anunnaki to Nibiru, return there shall be. Let the tired to Nibiru return. Let fresh ones them on earth replace. Enlil and Enki and Ninma of Ninurta's suggestion were in favor. Anu was consulted and his approval gave. In the Eden was the metal city planned. On that location, Enlil did insist. With materials from Nibiru was it constructed. With tools from Nibiru was it equipped. 3 shars the construction lasted. Bad Tibira was the name given. Ninurta, who made the suggestion. What the crap? Hold on, y'all. I'm about to pluck my nerves right now because ain't nobody down here with me. Hey, babe. James. Are the kids woke? Because it sounds like somebody down here throwing something. Hey. I ain't tripping, y'all. Oh, let me do a quick prayer. Hey, what are the kids doing? That's crazy. Y'all better quit playing with me. All right, y'all. It was loud that time. Y'all, maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm hearing something else. But it was loud. It sounded like somebody is down here playing, but none of my kids are down here. I don't know. Let me pay close attention. Okay. I keep losing my spot. Hold on. Okay. In the Eden was the metal city plan. On that location, Enlil did insist. With materials from Nibiru was it constructed. With tools from Nibiru was it equipped. 3 shards the construction lasted. Bad Tibiru was it the name given. Ninurta, who made the suggestion, was its first commander. The flow of gold to Nibiru was thereby eased and quickened. Those who to earth and Lamu at the beginning of prior times had come to Nibiru were returning. Alagar and Abgal and Numgal among them were. The newcomers who them replaced were younger and eager. To the cycles of earth and Lamu and the other rigors they were not accustomed. On Nibiru, whence they had come. Are your brothers woke?
Huh?
Your brothers woke?
Where are you going?
No, are they woke or they still asleep?
They're still asleep.
They still sleep. You was in the room with Dad?
No, I was in the boys' room.
What were you doing in the boys' room?
Just watching something on my Nintendo Switch.
You weren't playing with any toys? No? Okay. No, that's Jeremiah. That's the front door.
All right, that's enough. Hey, see, I need that extra practice. I'm gonna need you to help me drive.
Look,
I need that extra practice because I was extra shaky on the expressway.
you always gonna be shaky the first 3 times on the expressway. Chill out. I'm almost done, y'all.
Mom.
Chill.
Mom.
What, Pooh?
After me and you go to the store, I can come and stay in your room.
We're not going today, Pooh. Okay, y'all, back up. Come on. The newcomers who replaced them were younger and eager. To the cycles of earth and Lamu and the other rigors they were not accustomed. On Nibiru, whence they had come, the breach in the atmosphere was healing. The great calamities on the planet and in its heavens the younger ones did not know. Of their golden mission, excitement, and adventure they especially cherished. As by an inerta conceived, the ores from the Abzu were delivered. In Bat Tibira, they were smelted and refined. By rocket ships to Lamu, they were sent. In celestial chariots from Lamu to Nibiru was the pure gold delivered. As by an inerta conceived, from the Abzu to Nibiru, the gold flowed. What was not conceived was unrest by the new coming Anunnaki who in the Abzu toiled. Truth be said, Enki, we almost done. We only got like a couple pages. Okay. Truth be said, Enki to what was brewing he was not giving. To other matters in the Abzu, his attention was directing. With that which in the Abzu grows, the lives fascination he acquired of the differences between what on earth and what on Nibiru appeared, he wished to learn. How maladies by earth's cycles and atmosphere were caused, he wished to uncover. And the Abzu by the gushing waters, a wondrous study place he erected. With all manner of tools and equipment, he furnished it. House of Life, he called the place. To it his son Ningishita he invited. Sacred formulas, tiny MEs, the secrets of life and death, possessing they shaped. The mysteries of living and dying of earth's creatures, they to unravel sought. With some living creatures, Enki was especially enamored. They lived among the tall trees, their front legs and hands were using. In the tall grasses of the steppes, odd creatures were seen. Erect, they seemed to be walking. Absorbed was Enki in those studies. What was among the Anunnaki brewing, he noticed not. First to notice trouble was Ninurta, a lessening of gold ores at Bat Tibra, he observed. By Enlil was Ninurta to the Abzu dispatch what was ongoing to discover. By Inugi, the chief officer, to the excavations, he was accompanied. Complaints of the Anunnaki, he with his own ears heard. They were backbiting and lamenting. In the excavations, they were grumbling. Unbearable is the toil to Ninurta, they were saying. Ninurta to his uncle Enki reported, let us Enlil summon. Enki said. Enlil and the Abzu arrived in a house near the excavations he was stationed. Let us unnerve Enki in his dwelling. Mine workers, heroes shouted. Of the heavy work, let him relieve us. Let us proclaim war with hostilities. Let us gain relief, others shouted. So this right here, the Anunnaki working in the mines, trying to mine the gold, reminds me of the Hebrew slaves in Egypt. I'm just like, this story, it sounds really familiar. And some of the cries, they're just crying out to a different person, right? They're crying out to Enki, get Enlil's attention, free us. The work is backbreaking, right? But these were gods, right? They were gods. They come from Nibiru, right? Okay. Unbearable is the toil to Ninurta, they were saying. Ninurta, this to his uncle Enki, reported, let us Enlil summon, Enki said. Enlil and the Abzu arrived in a house near the excavations he was stationed. Let us unnerve Enlil in his dwelling. Mine workers, heroes shouted, of the heavy work, let him relieve us. Let us proclaim war with hostilities. Let us gain relief, others shouted. The Anunnaki and the excavations, the words of incitement heated. Their tools they set fire, fire to their axes they put. They troubled Inuji, chief officer of the mining. In the tunnels they seized him. They held him as they went to the doorway of Enlil's dwelling. They made their way. It was night, halfway through the watch it was. Enlil's dwelling they surrounded, their tools as torches they high held. Calcal, the gateway's guardian, bolted the door and Nusku aroused. Nusku, Enlil's vizier, roused his lord, get him out of bed, thus saying, my lord, your house is surrounded. Battling Anunnaki to your gate came up. Enlil summoned Enki. Enlil Ninurta summoned to his presence. What do my own eyes see? Is it against me that this thing is done? Thus was Enlil saying to them, who is of the hostilities the instigator? The Anunnaki stood together. Every single one of us hostilities has declared. Excessive is the toil. Our work is heavy. Great is the distress. So they were to Enlil saying, words of the happenings Enlil to Anu being. Of what is Enlil accused? Anu inquired. The work, not Enlil, is the troubling causing, Enki to Anu was saying. The lamentation is heavy. Every day the complaints we could hear. The goal must be obtained, Anu was saying. The work must continue. Release Inugi for consultations. Enlil to the hostile Anunnaki said. Inugi was released. To the leaders he was thus saying. Ever since Earth's heat has been rising, The toil is excruciating, unbearable it is. Let the rebels to Nibiru return. Let new ones come in their stead, Ninurta said. Perchance new tools you can fashion, Enlil to Enki said, for the Anunnaki heroes, the tunnels to avoid. Let us summon my son Ningishita, counsel with him I wish to take. Enki thus responded. They summoned Ningishita from the house of life he came. With him, Enki huddled. Words amongst them they exchanged. A solution is possible, Enki was saying. Let us create a Lulu, a primitive worker, the hardship work to take over. Let the being, the toil of the Anunnaki, carry on his back. Astounded were the besieged leaders, speechless indeed they were. Whoever heard of a being of fresh created, a worker who the Anunnaki's work can do? They summoned Ninma, one who of healing and succor was much knowing. Enki's words to her they repeated. Whoever of such a thing heard, they her asked. The task is unheard of, she to Enki said. All beings from a seed have descended, one being from another over eons did develop. None from nothing ever came. How right you are, my sister, Enki said, smiling. A secret of the Abzu, let me to you all reveal. The being that we need, it already exists. All that we have to do is put a mark. All we have to do is put on it the mark of our essence. Thereby, a Lulu, a primitive worker, shall be created. So did Enki to them say. Let us hereby a decision make, a blessing to my plan give, to create a primitive worker by the mark of our essence to fashion him. And that's where it ends today. So remember when they had banished Enki because he had committed rape, they said send him up to the heavens, give him a chariot up there, and you stay up there. You can't come over here no more. But when he had first came down, when Alalu had these weapons of mass destruction, when he saw them, he went and took them and he hid them in the heavens, wherever the portals were up there. He hid them up there. It's like another place, right? He took them and he hid them up there. So when they banished him, he was close by the place where he had these weapons. But then when they found out that Sud was pregnant by him, they said, "Go get this dude. And we're gonna see if we can correct this and make this right." Okay, Sud, you pregnant. I mean, what you want to do? You want to marry him? Well, yeah, okay, yeah, whatever. Okay, so go get him. We forgive your indiscretion because she said she'll marry you. So this is your wife. Okay, we won't count it as rape. All this, although you forced yourself on her, we'll forgive you because she said she'll take you. So voila. So now he back in good graces with everybody. But while he was out there, he was searching around, he was looking at different things on earth, and he actually saw a creation. Remember, it said he saw something, he saw a being, and it looked upright, it walked on tubes, right? He was distinguishing some of the animals, some had four legs, but there was a being, and he said a being that walked on tubes, right? So tomorrow it's going to describe this being. If you read ahead, you will see. And as I read, I'm like, that sounds like what scientists calls the Neanderthal, right? And it's going to describe the type of hair, how it sounded, how it talked. It didn't talk, it just did like the grunts and stuff. But it was created with original creation from the great creator. They were created and they were there. They said the being we need already exists. We can just take some of our life force, our essence, and we can just put it into them. So they're going to try that. But then you're going to see how it expands. But we're going to get into a lot of that tomorrow in the 6th tablet. If you want to read ahead, go ahead or listen to it. It's on YouTube. Listen to it. If y'all got some questions, because I listened to it like 3 times already. I'm like, yo, oh, wait a minute. Okay, so this. And then I started thinking about some of my studies, and you go and look into some of the different skulls of the different races or whatever, and just the different things and how they develop. I say, now, you know what? This makes a whole heck of a lot more sense than what they've ever taught us in the church. So as they start going through this, what I want to call it, in their laboratory, what they're doing, you're going to see how different beings were created, right? It just makes what we see and we still have questions about. It makes it make Uncle JB, he said, eye opening, isn't it? This is my uncle, the one that said, have you heard of Zachariah Sitchin? And remember I told you at his name, that guy's name kept popping up while I was looking through something. And I'm like, what does guy name keep popping up? And I just ignored it. I wasn't even going to click on it. Right. But then my uncle called me a couple days later and said, hey, I want you to say, get a pen and a piece of paper. I said, okay. Anytime he called, I'm like, all right, whatever he about to say is I need to, whatever. I'm listening. And so he said, write this down. I wrote down. He said, you need to go look at this, and go look at this. And here's this guy's name. I said, okay. And I was scribbling it right on my piece of paper right here. As soon as I got off the phone, I went looking it up. And I told him, I said, wait a minute, that name, Zachariah Sitchin. I said, it's been popping up the last couple of days. Yeah, I'm familiar with the name, but I haven't read any of his stuff. He said, you need to go look at it. I'm like, okay. Y'all, but I'm telling you, you can start pulling up some science or whatever, looking into the skulls. They got pictures and stuff where they showing different skulls from Neanderthals, different races, just different things that they show. But then I go and read this. I was like, wait a minute, and immediately pictures pop in my mind because I'm already like, okay, they say everybody came from one man and one woman. I said, that doesn't freaking make sense to me. I said, in theory, it sounds like a good theory. I said, but it doesn't account for the different skull structures, right? I said, how does that happen? I said, granted, they say the colors could come from, okay, well, you were in a more cold climate and your body just kind of acclimated to the weather there. So you began to lose pigmentation, and you were in a hotter climate, so you got dark. Oh, okay. That sounds logical. I was like, but I may have been born yesterday, but I mean, no, I said that wrong. I may have been just born, but I wasn't born yesterday. I've had a little bit of time here just to look at some stuff. I'm like, some of this stuff is not adding up. I was like, and the church is not giving me, even the Hebrew camps, y'all are not, no, y'all just want to pass theories down to me. But things that I can see, things that I can test, I can clearly tell, no, you did not come from, okay, these people, okay, so you can get white from black, but you can't get black from white. Okay, we can kind of see that. But some other thing, how are we accounting for the thinner frame, like the Asians, and then you got the Africans, and then you got what they call Native American, just a different structure, like the skull. What causes the skulls to change? Okay, you might be able to fool me with the skin color and stuff, but what causes the bone structures to change, at least in the skull, and in even like longer arms and stuff? I mean, I was like, something ain't right. Something is not adding up. But when I began to read this, I'm like, now wait a minute. Because I was telling my sister last year when we was talking about this, and I got this simply from reading like Jubilees and Jasher. I'm like, Leisha, I say, if you go back and you read in in Jubilees, I said, here and here, I said, this to me sounds like that there was more than one man and one woman that were created. And she was like, well, yeah, you kind of got a point. And it started talking about the classes. I'm like, yo, I said, if I didn't know any better, because I kept reading it over and over, I said, maybe I'm just reading too far into it. But because I had already read like a lot of other stuff, I'm like, this seems like this is saying something other than what they're telling me this is saying. I said, I can't quite put my hand on it. I said, plus with all that we know, the science and the research and just look at, I was like, something ain't right. Everybody did not come from one woman. I said, I just can't believe that any longer. It's going to have to be some very overwhelming information that causes me to step back and believe that what I've been taught. I was like, but based on like facts and findings and actual proof, I'm like, we're going to put that on the table. I still could be wrong. Everybody could descend from one woman. I said, but I got questions about this. Like, you need to give me more solid proof, and just instead of just telling me that all life began on this continent, and I just, something is wrong about that. Something is not adding up. What do you understand from Jubilee chapter 1 verse 13? I don't remember exactly what Jubilee chapter 1 verse 13 says. Maybe you pop the scripture there so I can read it, or I can look it up real quick. Trina, the food is the variable. That's what they tell you. You know, food can only go so far. Food can only do so much, right? But y'all gonna see what I'm talking about as we begin to get into as we get into the rest of the tablets. I'm like, you know what? Now that makes more sense than anything I've ever heard in my life. And something just feels right about this because all the questions I've already had before about the different races and the skull structures and stuff like that, right? So all right, so that's where we'll pause at today. Like I said, y'all can read ahead, go look into some of this stuff, even pull up some science stuff. Just kind of have some stuff ready and just begin to like compare some things, right? At the very least, you should start asking some questions. Okay. We at an hour and 20 minutes. Let's just read a page of My Big Toe. I feel like I'm neglecting this. Okay. We pause on page 134 at the last sentence on the page. And it's 2, 4, 6, 8. It's like 8 pages of this left. So let me read a page or two and then we'll pause. We won't go all the way to the end, but let me just, All right, page 134 of My Big Toe. The result of understanding, appreciating, and accepting the limits of your knowledge is that you neither believe nor disbelieve much of the information that initially lies beyond your knowledge. Like we just literally just talking about this, right? It's like, but okay. Judgment should be suspended until sufficient data are collected. Clearly, is what I've done. What we was just talking about. The method of approaching information is called open-minded. The quality, rigor of the conditions and processes that define sufficient is dependent upon how scientific your exploration is. Good science produces actual knowledge, whereas bad science produces only pseudo knowledge. Knowledge, ignorance, truth, falsehood, good science, bad science, wisdom, foolishness, fact, fiction, open-mindedness, open-mindedness, and closed-mindedness almost always exists simultaneously in different proportions as they pertain to developing, as in creating this trilogy or evaluating what you think of this trilogy, any piece or set of information. Rarely are knowledge and science perfect and pure. It is more a matter of degree and proportion. Perhaps all public thoughts, ideas, and published papers need to be clearly marked by the Federal Knowledge and Belief Administration. This concept contains 80% knowledge, 20% belief, an amusing thought with frightening overtones. Obviously, the only valid assessment is yours, and you must make it as correctly as possible. The quality of your mind and being hangs in the balance. You should not depend on experts, professionals, or anyone else to distinguish knowledge from belief for you, even if you trust them more than you trust yourself and are willing to believe what they say. Conversely, you can only discriminate between belief and knowledge for yourself, not for others. Think about it. How do you discriminate actual truth tellers from those who only believe they are telling the truth? Hint, comparing their beliefs to your own is not the answer. You should take responsibility for separating belief from knowledge for yourself and only for yourself, because you will reap the rewards of being correct or suffer the consequences of being wrong. Herd instincts, going along with others who are themselves simply going along with others, are counterproductive. There is no safety in numbers with regard to discovering big truth. Failing with the majority provides no consolation, because all successes or failures are personal. No one can drag you along to success by thinking or experiencing for you. On the other hand, you may allow others to retard your progress by not thinking for yourself. Oh, that's a mouthful. It is true that to trust and assume the truth is often necessary at a mundane level and can be a useful shortcut in a world of ideas where we are time and experience limited. Nevertheless, you must be careful not to inadvertently absorb limitations on your mind's ability to expand or modify what you initially trust to be the truth. Be forever watchful for and open to new data. Do not block out or create do not block out or creatively. That's what it is. Do not block out or creatively reinterpret information that conflicts with your beliefs or what you desire or need truth to be. Good science starts with honesty, and honesty is most easily applied in an ego free and fear free environment. Belief is created when one who lacks scientifically evaluated knowledge puts faith in the premise that things actually are as he or she supposes them to be. Dogma is a fixed set of beliefs that must be accepted on in order to join the ranks of believers who share that particular dogma. I feel like we needed to read this before we get into the next tablet. I just now that I'm reading, I feel like somebody like really needs this because as we go further, it's really gonna rip up some stuff, especially if you're still steeped in some portions of church tradition. It's gonna shake what can be shaken. Listen, let me go back. Belief is created when one who lacks sorry, cause okay. Belief is created when one who lacks scientifically evaluated knowledge puts faith in the premise that things actually are as he or she supposes them to be. Dogma is a fixed set of beliefs that must be accepted on faith in order to join the ranks of believers who share that particular dogma. Dogma can be cultural, religious, scientific, or personal. It is an integral part of any category of belief. Knowledge that appears to be scientifically or objectively evaluated to a given individual may actually be incorrect. This is because we are not omniscient, our knowledge and data are limited, and because we each create our personal reality, objective and subjective, by, I'm sorry, hold on. This is because we are not omniscient, our knowledge and data are limited, and because we each create our personal reality, objective and subjective, by interpreting our experience. Belief and knowledge can be either false, incorrect, or true, correct. Both in either state of correctness can strongly motivate action. If you are presented with new information, new ideas, or new concepts that you think may possibly have merit, it is far better to maintain open minded skepticism while collecting your data on the subject, even if it takes a lifetime, than to jump to conclusions based on some previously held belief or by adding a new belief. Hold on to all the possibilities, old and new, until you have produced the knowledge that correctly evaluates the issues by means of direct experience. The important thing is you need to get out there and collect the data. Laziness or fear of incompetence on this issue produces high risk results and dramatically reduces the possibility of significant gain or progress. The proof of correctness of any piece of knowledge lies only in the results its application produces. That is true of any knowledge, objective or subjective, offered up from any source about anything, including any astute cerebral gems that you may find in this big toe trilogy. If knowledge cannot be applied, or its application produces no practical results, that knowledge is, by definition, useless and irrelevant. Before drawing your sword of truth and hacking away at pseudo knowledge, let me remind you of something. If you cannot productively apply a particular piece of knowledge or a new concept, then that knowledge or concept may be pseudo knowledge, or you may be ignorant and basing your evaluation of that knowledge or concept upon belief or pseudo knowledge. For advice on how to deal with this logical dilemma, reread the aside at the beginning of this chapter. Results can be objective, subjective, complex, obvious, abstract, or concrete, but they must be real, actual results. They must eventually produce objectively measurable effects or changes by interacting with something that is real. Knowledge is only as significant as its effects. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. You will hear more about how to apply this results oriented truth testing concept in sections 3 and 5. For now, it is enough to understand that tasting the pudding refers to testing the value of your experience, truth, or knowledge by evaluating the objective, measurable results it produces. If what you consider to be true cannot honestly produce objective, measurable results, then remove it from the truth bin and put it back into the interesting possibilities bin. Continue collecting pertinent data and always maintain high scientific standards when evaluating results. If the results are not clear and obvious to yourself and others, you are either shooting blanks or you're playing with a toy gun. You should always keep in mind that results need to be measurable and meaningful. Here, meaningful includes advancing your personal development, increasing the quality of your evolving consciousness, and improving the correctness and depth of your understanding. Most of us are thoroughly dominated by beliefs, most of which lie outside of our intellectual awareness. How should we go about re examining our beliefs? The proof of correctness of any belief lies in first removing the ignorance that necessitated the belief in the first place and replace it with knowledge or open minded skepticism. Whenever sufficient knowledge has been accumulated to support logical scientific conclusions, apply that knowledge and observe the result. If the ignorance that defines the belief and upon which the necessity for the belief is based cannot be replaced by testable, or using our pudding metaphor, tasteable knowledge, then the belief simply remains a belief and its falseness and correctness remain unproven. No intelligent comment can be made either way, and you should remain skeptical as well as open minded until enough data are collected to provide testable knowledge. And I think I want to pause right there. Yeah, I'm pause right here. Okay. So we're going to pause right here and we'll pick it back up tomorrow after we read tablet 6. So that was good, and I think that prepares us, especially those who still kind of living in religious dogma and haven't let some pieces of it go away. That's going to help you, right? It's going to help you. If you got it, go ahead and read ahead. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and get out of here. Look, I'm gonna share. Let me close first. I'm gonna share with y'all. I had two what you call them, missionaries come to my door yesterday from what you call it, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I wasn't gonna answer the door, but my husband was sitting right here and they saw us looking at him. So hold on, let me close this. Okay, so it is Friday, y'all, February the 4th, 2022, day number 22 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. Another 4-year consecutive day count. It is day 1040. Today we read tablet 5 in the book of Enki, and then we read chapter 19, pages, I should have put pages 134 to 137. Okay. So let me go ahead and do the blessing. I ain't gonna call Bella down because she's gonna want to end it right when I get done. And I want to tell y'all what happened yesterday. Okay. So the blessing is found, y'all know where, in Numbers chapter 6. Hold on. Verses 22 through 27. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, Yahuwah will kneel before us, presenting gifts, and will guard us with a hedge of protection. Yahuwah will illuminate the wholeness of his being towards us, bringing order, and he will provide us with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yahuwah will lift up the wholeness of his being and look upon us, and he will set in place all we need to be whole and complete. They shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people. Semicolon. Shalom, shalom. Okay, so we were sitting here yesterday. So we're sitting here working on some quotes for some projects and everything. You know, we got this Bay Wonder right here. So we're sitting here just talking. Next thing we know, I'm like, who is these guys? And my husband turned around. They was coming off of Mr. Henry porch. Clearly, Mr. Henry didn't answer the door. Mr. Henry got cameras and stuff. And so I'm like, yeah, Mr. Henry probably looking at them and it's like, yeah, I ain't answering the door. So they walk out of Mr. Henry yard. And they walk from his yard over here looking at us. And like, we made contact with both these young boys, right? They look like they just turned 18. They probably could have been a little bit older. Nice, freshly, I ain't gonna say they was freshly shaven. I don't even think they had any kind of facial hair at all. But they look fresh out the womb, right? Walking in their black slacks, their nice pressed button down shirt with their Book of Mormon or whatever it was in their hand, right? And so they come, and as they're walking past the window, I'm like, they better keep walking. James just started giggling. We looked at them. They both poured eye contact with us and came and walked right up on our porch. I'm like, and I'm sitting here. I'm like, what you say that price was? And he looked at me. He said, go answer the door. I said, I ain't got time for it. I don't. No, they just gonna have to walk away. Let's finish doing this quote. He said, man, go answer the door. Don't be rude. I'm like, rude? They're rude. Hold on. Oh man, I clicked Facebook off. Hold on. Uh-oh, y'all back? Okay, I'm sorry. I was trying to move the thing out the way. He was like, man, don't be rude. I'm like, rude? They gonna be rude. I was like, I'm not. I'm just, let them walk away. He said, Pam, they sitting here staring. I said, I don't care. And he said, just go say something. I was like, I'm gonna shoo him away from the door. That's what I'm about. That's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, okay. So I went to the door, and they were like, hi, ma'am. I'm like, hey. And they said, but it was kind of, and I was gonna play with them, but I was like, I really don't have the time to play with them like I really want to play with them. So I'm just gonna get rid of them quick because I really need to finish these quotes so we can get going. And so James was like, he looking like, just say something to him, say something, like, because he want me to give them the whole, let them know what they doing is wrong and there's one creator. I didn't have time for all that today. I just didn't feel like it. So it was like, hi, ma'am. I was like, hey. They said, well, we're missionaries from Jesus Christ Church of the Latter-day Saints. Is that how you say it? We're missionaries from Jesus Christ Church of the Latter-day Saints. And I purposely changed my facial expression. I'm like, yeah, and just to see if I could get any kind of rise out of them, right? And I was like, yeah, and they said, well, we wanted to know if we could share with you a few scriptures and let you know like what we believe, and just to see if you would be interested in it. They said, is this something you'll be interested in? I said, no. They said, and they was shocked because the way I said no. They said, well, do you know anybody else here in the neighborhood, or you may have some friends who might? I said, no. They was like, the one behind me, he looked down, and it looked like he said, well, darn. I said, no. And he said, okay, well, can we pray for you then before? I said, if you're going to pray in the name of Jesus Christ, let me just tell you now, I don't believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in the one creator. And I did like this. I put my foot on that. I said, I believe in one creator of heaven and earth. And I call him Yahuwah. I said, and if you're not going to pray to him, or you're going to try and pray to him in the name of Jesus Christ, no, you can't pray for me. And I'm not going to give you the names of anybody else to pray for them in the name of Jesus Christ, because I don't believe in Jesus Christ. And they was like, they said, well, okay, ma'am. Well, you have a nice day. It was like they was trying to figure out words to say. It was like, well, okay, well, you have a nice day. I said, toodles. I did just like that. And I came in, James was here hollering, laughing. I said, look, man, you should have went and answered. I was like, I probably messed them little boys up. I said, I didn't really have time today. I would have had I had the time. I would have stood out there and I would have let them go through what they was talking about, just to be like, y'all are really wasting your time here, right? So, but I thought that was fun. It was hilarious. Kurt, what was your question? He said, I didn't answer your question. Oh, yeah, man, I asked you to look up Jubilees, chapter 1, verse 13. Let me look it up. What do I pull from it? Okay, let me see. Jubilees 1, 13. Oh, and they will forget all my law and all my commandments and all my judgments, and will go astray as to new moons and Sabbaths and festivals and jubilees and ordinances. I think it means just what it says. Just like Israel is, you want to call us Israel. Israel was lost, like as we were removed from our culture and who we really are. Yeah, they probably did want to go and ask questions, Trina. I was banking on it. I was banking on screwing them up in the head so they can at least go ask questions, because they just robots out here doing what their masters tell them to do. They don't ask. They're too afraid to ask questions, because if they were asking questions, they wouldn't be going door to door, right? That's how I know they just following along like the sleep masses, sheep headed to the slaughter, right? But yeah, I think that means it exactly what it says. Because if you think about it, if you look at Israel, you can look at how they've been toying with time, the different festivals, everything. I take verse 13 at face value. Most of Yahuwah's people, at least until like recent days of people waking up, they forgot his laws. Like they tell you, Old Testament is done away with. You ain't got to keep none of that. Things were orchestrated to remove people from Yahuwah's laws, his statutes, and his commandments, completely doing away with them. Because when you do away with them, you do away with the other things that connects with them. Even the time where it says you're going to go astray as to new moons, Sabbaths, festivals, jubilees, and ordinances, like people celebrating the Sabbath on the wrong days, but as you get into it and you read more and more, you begin to ask questions. And that's what caused me to start looking into the Sabbath. Watch the rotation of the sun and the moon and the stars, especially when I got into Enoch. I'm like, okay, so what we're doing is not necessarily lining up. And then paying attention to our calendar and the Hebrew calendar, the different calendars they had. Everybody got a different calendar. So if everybody has a different calendar, how are y'all even celebrating things on right there? Who is the authority for this? Are we just saying Jerusalem of the Israelites, they're the authority just because they're doing it this way? But there are clearly things that they're doing according to their calendar that I can see that goes against what the commandments say. I said something is wrong, right? And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna have to look at this myself, because I keep getting different answers from different people, and all they're doing is regurgitating garbage that they got from somebody else that taught them the garbage, right? So, which is why I started really looking into it, literally going outside daily, looking at the moon and the sun and the position, and how it may seem elementary, but when you observe something, you begin to notice things that you never really noticed before. If you just living life, just walking through every day, oh, the sun feels nice, right? You don't notice how the moon changes her circuit during certain months, and how you can see her in the sky during the day. You may look and not really pay attention, but every single month she starts at the same point for most of the year, with the exception of 3 months. you know, and then it's like, depending on where you're at, it's like you can't find her. Where did she go? Where did the moon go? You know, and I start searching, looking and driving. Oh, well, why did it start over here this month? Like, there is such wisdom that can be gleaned just by observing the sky. It will blow your mind. That Yah is real. Shalom, shalom. So that, I mean, that's what I understand from Jubilees chapter 1 verse 13. It, you can literally take that verse at face value. You know, you can look at, we're living that. Half the people don't even, half of y'all's people, real Israel, if you want to call them real Israel, who are still in the church and don't even realize that they're Israel, even some of them that have come out of the church and still following like Christian ways and wrong information. They don't even realize, even like the Sabbath, they're fighting over the Sabbath days. They're fighting this Friday, no, it's Saturday. Regents, if you're following the Gregorian calendar, it's not set on that one day according to the Gregorian calendar. What you have to understand, like the clock in the sky. Now, astronomers and the way they got the clocks, the watches and clocks set up, if you pay attention to it, they've actually got that down to a T. But they feed you information. But you can tell when the Sabbaths are if you understand the rotation of the sun and the moon, or at least the positions of the moon and the phases, right? If you're ever stranded and don't have a watch, nobody, you can't ask anybody what the time is. If you've been paying attention to the rotation of the sun and the moon, watch how the sun casts shadows. If you can, even if you don't have anything, if all you have is your body, watch how your body casts shadows on the ground at the different phases of the sun as he moves through the sky during the day. You'll be able to tell time. They've simply taken that information that people have known before manually, and they just digitized everything for you. And now you don't even know how to calculate it appropriately. So it's easy to pull the wool over your eyes when you don't really understand how it works, right? And you don't necessarily have to understand how it works, but you will hope that those who are teaching you aren't trying to pull the wool over your eyes because you don't understand it. You will hope they would teach you the right way. Hope that they're honest people. Yes.
What did you just do?
What did I just do? It's not poop.
Mom, I hear you just go outside.
That wasn't me. That was one of your brethren. It was one of them. I think it was Josh. Josh went to the door.
Why?
I don't know. Go ask them. They're all in the living room now. So, but yeah, you can read that and literally just take that verse at face value. Based on my experience up until the date and everything I've done in research, that's literally face value. The nations have caused you, who is people, not just to forget those things, but who they are. But if you read a little bit further, it talks about a time when Yahuwah's people will begin to wake up and realize, oh my gosh, we have been sinning. We have completely turned away from your Torah, right? And they begin to wake up and they begin to seek him with all their heart. Like, what we're doing, we got to get to the truth. They've added stuff. Yeah, they've burnt your Torah. They've recreated it. They've added stuff. They've taken away. So now we really have to do the job of scientists, really, and really. Yes.
What is this?
Good question. I forgot what that do, but put it back. I know it's cute. I think it's a potato thing. I don't know, girl. I need to look at my stuff.
I think you have to kill it and
Yeah, it's a potato thing. You put the potato up there, you stick it up there, and you twist it, and it give you the different shapes.
Mom,
So, but yeah, y'all, she's
Mom,
starting to do too much. I'm gonna go ahead and end this.
Mom,
Yes.
I can make mashed potatoes with this.
No, you're not gonna be able to make mashed potatoes with that, but you can make like potato strings and stuff with that. Yeah. All right, y'all. So with that being said, that's it for today. We'll go ahead and get out of here. Tuda, we already did the blessing, but you can go ahead. I know. See, because I wanted to tell them this story, I went ahead and did the blessing. Because if you had to come do the blessing, you want to do the blessing again? Okay. All right, let's do it. Okay. Double blessing today. It can't hurt, right? Okay, so let's pull up the blessing again. The blessing is found in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, Yahuwah will kneel before us presenting gifts and will guard us with a hedge of protection. Yahuwah will illuminate the wholeness of his being towards us, bringing order, and he will provide us with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yahuwah will lift up his wholeness of being and look upon us, and he will set in place all we need to be whole and complete. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people, I love y'all. See y'all back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I should be trying to kill Facebook. You're going ahead and end this one. Bye, y'all. I see y'all tomorrow.
You didn't say it.
Peace. End it. Yeah.